looks cool. Want to watch it with me awkwardly until the comedy comes in? No, I'll probably have my penis in my hand. Thanks for very off. Hey. Okay. Oh shit. Oh shit. All right, joke's on you. I'm into this. Reboot. Reboot. You remember that reference? I knew you would, buddy. Joey.
What up, Nikki? How you doing?
Dude, she's like farted blood out. She's like, blah. And it's like a pool.
Just about ready.
Oh shit.
Set in place. Love those
Hopefully
emotes.
they make their day a
I
little
hope you're having a good night.
You never know. Someone out there remembers you for being nice to them on a bad day.
Still ironing out some
Of course he did. He's like the best one.
growing pains with all this new gear, so if I sound off or anything, or something's going on, just let me know and I'll try to address it for the next stream. It's like, well, little BBL over again.
Like, because we had 2 brackets, right? Everybody I fought, I sent them to the loser bracket.
In a couple minutes.
I fought him like halfway
started.
through. Sent him to the losers bracket, and I was surprised because Frank's good. Like fucking Scorpion himself, he just climbed his way out of the Nether Realm and got his revenge. And it was down to me and him, and I didn't win a single round of that fight. He fucking wiped his ass with me. So if I was there, I would.
Okay. Oh. Oh fuck. Damn, bro. You okay, Carlos? Is your oil okay? I like the sound of that. Oh, he's fucked up. He's like bugging right now. I'll cheese the fuck out of you. Hell yeah. I lucked out. Did you drop anything? That's funny. It was like 18 gigs for me, I think, on my PlayStation.
Yes,
like,
I
something
can.
crazy like
Let me test this real quick. Let me see if this is working.
If any of you take on any damage, get back to me ASAP, and I'll help you out. Brother! I'm not carrying any damage back.
Tight. Oh yeah, hold on, let me hit play. 1 second. Wait. Yeah, cool. I almost forgot. Did you get your shit to work, or you dumb as shit? This is Can, right? It's giving Can. Let's see Furious tomorrow. I might be able to. What up, Cash Cow? How you doing? And it is a little okay. Fuck you, Can. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think I got everything to work for the most part. I'm still ironing it out, playing with my new set, which is just my desk rotated. Yeah, dude, I might be down for Furious tomorrow. I don't have too much to do for Wednesday. I love your chat bubbles. Thank you, Nikki. It's from Persona. Persona 5, I want to say. When, where? Oh. Sneaky. It's funny. Alright, let's see. Okay, cool. So yeah, I threw on the Ninja Scroll VHS, so you're probably gonna see some blurry titties at some point, but just don't tell on me. I'm ready to play. I haven't played this game since the remaster came out, which is what, 2018, 2019? Now that's a titty. That's like one of my favorite movie quotes of all time. Also, Cash Cow. I have another atomic duck. Cheers, buddy. Did you change the layout of the room? Ever so slightly. The big thing was a buddy just offloaded like a shitload of gear. Cheers, mofo. So I had to make room for it. So it's not a full layout change, just my desk. area is completely different, and you have like a new mic arm, a new camera, and rather than facing this way, and you guys can see my kitchen, which is what I used to crop myself out to avoid. You guys can look at my dorky ass living room. Yeah. Let me play some Onimusha now. It's been a long time. Camera looks good. Thank you. There's still some more stuff that I want to do, but I'll just make incremental changes going forward. Or if I have nothing to do, like on like a Saturday, which is surprisingly rare, funny enough, I might just spend a few hours to add some stuff, dial some stuff in. Yo! Camera's good. Am I able to see? I'm able to see the wrinkles a lot more clearly. Yeah. You're gonna see all my 35 years of age on my face. About to be 36! I'm unk now. I'm gonna be doing that all night. It's okay, my gray hair will be showing a lot now. Yeah, I got some gray hair too. I freaked out when I pulled a gray nose hair once. I was like, what the fuck? The movement. Were we getting head? No, that's funny. I'm pretty sure you're referring to the bug eye, right? Because this series is a weird motif where all of the introduction cutscenes start from an eye. Yeah, thank you for the camera compliment. Shout out to Kevin. You a real one. Nobunaga Oda. He was like the bad guy in every game I've ever played.
Men, fight and die with honor.
Let me know if the volume... Actually, the volume might be too loud, huh? Oh, okay. Looking for the Jackie Chan adventure quotes. Jackie! One more thing. Yeah, let me know if this is loud. I could lower it. Amanosuke!
Naga has finally engaged the enemy.
So extra. I really want to know what this would have been like if it remained a Resident Evil project. Okay, so those who don't know, this project started off as like a, you know, what if Resident Evil but feudal Japan? And it was going to be in that universe, but it just evolved to be its own thing.
My lord,
Jackie!
we have taken Lord Suruga's head.
Perfect.
Oh shit, nice. Durga Durga, Muhammad Jihad. Oh god. I love that movie. Yo! So is your account permanently banned, or is it a temporary ban and this is just like a... I don't know, a burner account for you? I was unbanned last week, I think. I just forgot to switch back. LMAO. Ah. Wrist.
Samanosuke.
Eat it.
I will save Princess Yuki.
Oh, so when this first came out, I was salty because they did a completely different score because of the legal shenanigans that the other guy created. When it turns out he was a fraud. But I liked that soundtrack, so I was bummed when this one replaced it. But it really grew on me. This one's pretty epic. Dear Samanosuke, I'm writing this letter in the hopes you will read this in time to help.
Dear
Some-
Samanosuke, I
Samanosuke.
am writing this letter in the hopes you will read this in time to help. Something is wrong within the
Good old
Inabayama
2001
castle.
voice acting.
Some of the maids and servants have gone missing, and I fear that it might be the work of monsters. I am
Monster?
so scared, Samanosuke. People tell me that the monsters eat the maids and servants and then take their remains to someplace deep underground. When I told my brother Yoshitatsu about this, he did not seem interested. He is too busy preparing for his upcoming battle with Nobunaga.
Naga.
Samanosuke, although it has been a few years since we were forced to take separate paths, due to the battle between my father Dosan and my brother Yoshitatsu,
Atsu.
you are still the only one that I can rely upon. I can only hope that you receive this letter and that you will find it in your heart to come and save me before it is too late.
Yumogi Guai Fighty Sao.
Yours faithfully,
Yumogui Guaidi.
Yuki.
Oh, Jackie! Yeah, it's hard to say it phonetically. Yumo Guai Fighty Sao. Hell yeah.
Sir. Our
Samanosuke.
princess is at the keep. There are two ways to get there. The western path, or the northern passage.
Kaede, I'll go north. You follow them through the other way.
Understand.
Good. Jackie! One more thing. Oh. 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 Other controls. Here we go. All right. Swords, ready weapon, magic, absorb souls, action, attack. All right. Lock on, change target, bowgun, change target, adjust aim, no enemies, quick turn. Oh, that's quick time. Or quick. Oh, it is. That's weird. Stay back, demon. Yuki!
Princess Yuki!
Oh! Oh!
Princess Yuki, Your Highness.
RoboCop, Rogue City, Final Fantasy VII Integrate, and Ready 4 for $27. Nice.
Samanosuke,
Integrate is like the complete version of the first remake, right?
I knew that you would come to save
Remake
me.
1. Yeah, that's the one with Yuffie, I think. Right? Because it's remake,
I've missed you
rebirth,
so much since you
Rem-
left the castle.
Revelations?
What?
Yeah, just one, I think. Yeah. Type shit. Nice. After that reveal for the third one, oh, what the fuck? Okay. I really want to play the remakes.
God, you worthless bug. Useless.
Got him. Is this 2? This is 1, brother. This is Samanosuke. 2 is the one with Jubei. And then 3 is the one with Samanosuke and Jean Reno. And then 4 just has a bunch of characters. And then I never actually finished Tactics, but I intend to play all of these, hopefully in time for the new one, because I'm pretty hyped on that. Way of the Sword. And these aren't particularly long. I think 4 is actually quite long, but these are all like 6-7 hour games, if I remember correctly.
You are not capable of destroying demons.
You're not capable.
We will give you our powers. We are the clan of ogres that has been subverted by the demons. Samanosuke, defeat and seal their souls to your right hand.
And then I never finished it, but behind me is the Netflix show. For some ambiance. Oh, it's the big rock golem that was sucking titty. I missed it.
So, fortune has smiled upon me this day. With the power of this gauntlet, I will destroy all of those monsters.
Doesn't it have like an eye on it?
Save the princess.
Also, why do I sound black? Come on. Bet. Oh. You are black. And anybody tell me? Yo! That was quick. I'm used to like a little bling or something. Let me know I saved. I do remember kind of, you don't have to, but I do remember grinding so that I can get, you know, better weapons and shit and armor. So I might do that. Also, this is, who did that? Nice. Cash cow. Thank you. This has been, these are high res textures. Capcom did a really shit job. So, fans and I guess AI tools, they upscaled all the textures and the backgrounds, and I think it looks nice. Get him. Yo! How do I do the... There we go. Do it again. Boom! Do it again. Oh, fuck. Boom! Daddy. Oh shit! Bag of Wildberry, Harborough, and Deathstream. What a night! The Wildberry are the best ones. Even though I did become fond of like the sour ones, but yeah, as a top tier gummy bear right there, brother. How you doing, Paul? If I were to simplify how it's pronounced, LOL, Jumo Guai Fi, like 5, Dizao, kind of like. Yeah, but it's the Guai part. The Gui. Did I just have a stroke? No, she's quoting the chant that Grandpa does, or Uncle does, in Jackie Chan adventures. Ew. Free movement.
Hurry!
You're not the boss of me. Oh shit.
Monsters! Close the door now!
But someone is there.
Get him!
Fuck him. Yo! Oh, I missed. Do it again. Yo! Okay, fuck it. Ooh, motherfucker. Do it again. Oh, fucked up. Ah, shit. Onimusha. What a bloody. Yes, you did it perfectly, lol. Oh, the gwee part.
Open the door!
What up, bloody? How you doing?
He killed him.
Huh?
What should we do?
Might you? I might also.
You!
Enjoying my new setup
Sorry.
We are very sorry.
and having a long time coming stream. I've been talking about Onimusha since like
They came
November.
out of nowhere and attacked us.
Yeah.
The keep may have
Cash
also
Cow,
been
I have to thank you for
attacked
showing me that short, because that's exactly where that cat came from.
Is ahead of us
That's
that way.
Puss in Space Boots.
The forest road there.
What's up,
is a
Cash?
shortcut to the keep.
Yeah, I do. I might see
I see.
if tomorrow doesn't work, this weekend should be fine, but I do really want to catch Furious. I saw a monster shadow climbing the northern stone wall near the keep. What was that? They slaughtered my comrades one by one. I never thought things would end like this. We blockaded the outer citadel leading to the keep, but it would be easy for a monster to break through it. Please. Oh, sir. Please reach the keep as soon as possible and rescue Princess. Okay. Joey, did you watch Obsession? I did, and I thought it was great. Unless you need a backectomy. Yeah, dude. It's not as bad today. Or at least now, I guess, like, once I was, like, up and or moving around. But, dude, this morning fucking sucked. Remember when you used to stream Resident Evil rather than Samurai? We have Resident Evil at home. I mean, it's good. Samurai's at home, though. And it's Resident Evil adjacent. You have to make an uncle. Hiya, Adim. I could do that. Did you see Obsession, Bloody? Yeah, because after we saw Masters, I was like, I don't want to go home yet. I'll watch another movie, and then it was Obsession, which I highly recommend. It was a good time. Onimusha is great. Nah, I want to though. Yeah, I think you'll like it, dude. Yo. Damn it, I'm trying to get the timing right. Yo! Fuck, hold on, one more. Yo! Oh, fuck it. Fuck you! Fuck you! Oh, Carador. Oh shit, there's more. Yo! You're great. Next is Supergirl. I want that penis popcorn bucket. Is that real? the fleshlight shaped one, but it's like a fleshlight with a trench coat. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's real, dude. I thought that was fake. That's funny. What are they doing? Yeah, you do. If you go to the movies and sit next to me, every bucket is a penis bucket. There you go. I like the way you think. They know what they're doing. Camera movement reminds me of Ninja Gaiden. Oh yeah, a little bit. That bat was like season out, dude. What a big hole. Did the monster do? Did Sephiroth do this? You can't get around it. It seems you can't come back once you go down this hole. Will you go down? Not yet. Let me double check something. Also, is there a map? Oh, there is. Ah, but it doesn't go anywhere. We're fine. We're fine. Let's go forward. I ain't missing shit. Is there really a Toy Story 5? Yes. Take Control suck. You suck. You'll see 2 Woodies. Yeah, it comes out this week. Yuki! Yuki-sama! Battle of the iPad Kids. Nice. Not the only thing coming out this week. What else is coming out this week? Bloody is faster than me with the jokes tonight. That's another thing coming out this week. Oh, that's funny. Oh. Yo. Oh well, my dick. Common. No, I got it. Dick. I think this mummified monk was supposed to guard this temple. Well, he did a bad job. He's dead. You need a want to see my pecker? Oh, dude. You gotta text that to me. I would love that one actually. Aww. Abby. Damn, you were quick. Oh, I thought he did it. Do it. It'll make you want to buy a hammer. What the fuck? Oh, they're talking about the movie. You should be a master at coming fast after all. You have all them kids. Green scroll here. Will you take it? Diesel time! To the brave one who finds and is reading this scroll, cast all thoughts aside and heed my words. There exists an ogre gauntlet that draws its power from the souls of those who were slayed by demons. Master its secrets and great powers will be yours. Remember, without the power of the ogres, you're in a match for the demons. Dugan! My favorite hoe. Alright, bring it. Hold on, I press A. Damn it, wait. Wait. I'm trying to get the timing right so I can heal. Do it! Fuck. Alright, okay, I'm sorry. Fuck. Let me use my herb. I will never try to do the perfect timing again. Also, I didn't realize there were so many of them. Yo! Yeah, that's bad. Wait, is that Can? That is Can. She got banned, yeah. She got banned for being Can. Like, I think I was in Jay's stream when I found out, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. It is I. They can never ban me so long as I have a shitty memory and make new accounts. Uh-oh. We're gonna have a puzzle. I'm gonna take a picture of this. I'm stupid. Alright. I just know this is gonna come into play later. Ooh, fluorite. That's funny. Yes, us non-streamers don't give a fuck out here with name changes and alts for days. Never sees his pants into ballsack. Throbbing with joy. Nice. Leonardo 10 inchy. Okay. Journal 1. Master Suget! and I have followed the monster that has been kidnapping people around town. It has led us to this cave. The cave seems to be a nest for demons, every kind of monster imaginable, even ones I've never would have believed to exist. They call themselves demons. They hate the sunlight and seem to have lived underground since before the human race even existed. My master has already made up his mind to go into the cave. I'm confident that he has the power to banish the demons. I have a little talent for drawing, and I also have faith and courage, so I will not be afraid of the monsters. As such, I'm going to record everything I see. This is going to be the most bizarre looking book in history. Bizarre book in history. Samuel! Is this the new desk setup? It is! It is. Went to go rub one out. Oh no! It would be alpha if you just casually had hardcore gay porn on that TV in the back. Well, it's the Onimusha Netflix series, so it's probably the same. Puts balls back in my anus. Oh, dang, is that where you keep them? Make note of that. But also, I have Ninja Scroll on right now, and this does have titties, so enjoy. Eden. Oh shit. What are you up to, bloody? Not yet. Running this week. He's lurking and jerking? Nice. Oh, let me equip that. Oh, it is. Oh, Jesus. Tight, tight, tight. You will. What clan has been subverted by the demons? The Oni clan. Let me see that. Let me pull up that picture I just took. The ogre, what do we call him? I guess. Oh man, no. Let me check files. Oh. Oh, I guess I have to come back. Or see, it's not that, because that is subverted. That's what that means. That means against. It's gonna be ogre or Oni, but I don't know which one it is. Fuck. Oh, it's gonna grade me. I'm gonna end this game with like 40 something saves. What's this? A crystal is filled in the center. Fitted in the center, and there seems to be lightning inside. Everything reminds me of her. Yo! It. Bitch. Let's see. I need Wait, can I go back with this? Oh shit. Oh shit. That was an accident. Oh fuck. Motherfucker. Yo. I want to work at a psych ward, if not be in a psych ward, because I want to stim with psych patients. LMAO. I want to hear the ghost tea. Well, you know, it's good to have goals, so I say go for it, you know? Do something crazy, get yourself admitted. And then tell me the stories. Alright. That's not very effective. Furl got you, girly. This one. This is what bitches do now, right? This thing. I don't know if I used that right. Nikki! What's good in the hood? You still streaming? Or are you offline now? Do it! Block it. Yeah. I want to be the guy whose job is to shock her across the head with those wands. Oh, like so, like little fucking cattle prods. Or like hit her with a baton, like in Terminator 2. That sounds fun too. Wait, I'm absorbing shit. Right in the dick. Shock me while you're in me, though. I want to feel the stimulation. Jesus. Yellow mean locked? Yep. Oh, I missed. There you go. Got it. Not even that much, but let me do like one more, a couple more of these guys if they show up, and then I'll. Yep. Yo. Yeah, stop. Attack me so I can try it. Fuck. Oh, fuck. Got him. Okay. Third time's a charm. Bro, imagine, though, you're in a girl and she gets shocked, her coochie would be contracting nonstop while you're inside, no? Yeah, but I mean, depending on the voltage and where it's at, I would get electrocuted too. I don't want my pee-pee to get electrocuted. That doesn't sound fun. Oh, fucker. You too. Motherfucker. Not my problem. My cock cage is also a Faraday cage. Got a lot of health from that. Hell yeah. Are they just gonna keep spawning? They might. They might. I'm gonna do it. Wait, I thought that was gonna give me more magic. Oh, that's not good. Die! Alright. I'm gonna go back and, what the fuck? A chat stream? I know, right? On a Monday? What's up, Jay? Oh, shit. Fuck that up. You didn't see it. You didn't see that. My dick. Oh, nice. Is it because I'm streaming? Yo! How's your night going, sir? You're working tonight right now, right? Oh, fuck. Yeah, nice. Well, not nice, but you know. The orbs. Working the streets. I believe it. That fucking whore. Wait, Ryzen? Isn't this also like electricity or something? Oh yeah. All right. And then if anything, the voltage would probably not be all that strong when it's traveling through the body. And yeah, it depends on the voltage. But I don't know, you know, every control needs an experiment. You should test this hypothesis of yours. Or every experiment needs a control. Stupid. I said it wrong. Hi, Jay. Hi, Ken. You have to read up, lol. Speaking of horrors. Well, it would take the path of least resistance to the ground, so that's why they have things on either side of the head. It keeps away from the heart. Oh. Let's get the Mythbusters online. More up. Wait, more. We're in the streets. If anything, the voltage. Yeah, wait, what more? Hold on. Nah, I thought it'd be like that one episode of 1,000 Ways to Die with a cow heart. But, okay, for real though, I don't think you would get shocked by touching someone who's being shocked. Ladies, call my dick the cattle prod. I meant just more of like a pig in a blanket. You okay, buddy? You okay? All in a day's work. Alright, cool. I can't get in there? You can see a dry moat. Did the monster come from the bottom of the moat? You need equipment to descend. Oh, well, I have the rope. But let me see over here first. Oh, shit, you dropped something. What is that? What is that? An herb? Hell yeah. Red ink. Not red ink! Oh, wait. Maybe I do have more files that'll help. Power of the ogres. Certainly not in this one. Why are you playing a good game? You didn't finish Grandia yet. I still need a Grandia break. I will get back to that at some point, though. Wait, I thought you liked Grandia. It is a good game, mister. I do. But I figured just with, at least with my schedule right now, I mean, I'm gonna jinx it. I'm not even gonna say it. But these games are shorter and I'm excited for the new one. Power subverted. Oh man. I need more of these. I do. Ooh. Nice. I obtained medicine, bruh. Who loves orange soda? Hell loves orange soda. I need a fire sword. Oh, shit. I saved. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fight. Did I save or did I just enhance? Yeah, I didn't save. There we go. I'm gonna have to fight this dude down here, I'm pretty sure. He's like, Stamanowski! Yeah, this guy.
Didn't know humans could be such pests.
There's more Grandia? Yeah, dude, I just scratched the surface. There's Grandia Extreme, which is the third game, technically. That I'm like a fifth of the way through. And then there's, Grandia 3. And then there's Grandia Parallel Trippers on Game Boy Color. Yo! You. Fuck. Whoa. Hey. That's not needed. That's not necessary, buddy. Yo! Oh! Oh, shit! Take that, you fat piece of shit! Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Gotti! You sound like my mom. Did you see this tomorrow? Oh, does your mom do the Japanese yous too? Kabuki yu?
Quiet, monster. It is time for you to go back to the underworld.
This makes me wish you were playing Sekiro. Oh, really? You know what's funny? When I was roommates with Solid, he was playing Sekiro, and he saw me binging the Onimusha games back then. And then, yeah, he was like, bro, you should just play Sekiro. He's like my mom. Take that, you fat piece of shit. Oh, nice. His mom just does any racist mocking of Asian stereotypes. Oh, okay. Isn't that your mom too? Give me the map, Scott. Okay, I'm going this way. Colonel 2. I'm a sad, pathetic coward, weak and unworthy of the priesthood. My master was seriously injured during the battle against the demons. I could not do anything. I could not save my master. He asked me to bring his wounded body to the entrance of the cave. Then he began to perform his final ceremonial rites. He has made up his mind to offer his life and die as a human sacrifice. With his remaining power, he is trying to sacrifice himself and place a seal on the entrance of the cave so that the demons cannot get out. Whoa. My master gave me a scroll and a jewel, then ordered me to leave the cave. That was the most humiliating moment of my life. I was relieved to hear that I could leave the cave. I was too happy to be leaving to worry about my master. I could think only of myself. Bitch. Afterwards, I hid the scroll and the jewel, and I came back to my master's place of sacrifice. I never have the willpower of my master. All I can do is learn as much as possible to create a testament of my findings. Samayu! She dresses up like Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD. That's a reference. Nice. Oh shit. There's people in the walls. Can't go there yet. Alright. Durka. They're in the goddamn wall. They're in the wall. He's in the walls. He's in the goddamn walls. I fucking love that. I should just cancel stream and just marathon Blark and Son. How's that sound? Gildenstein or whatever. What's this fucker's name? Streaming on Discord, Blark and Son on stream. Oh, a liver! I missed this guy. What's his name? I forget. It's. I might be wrong, but I swear it's like Gildenstein or something, right?
How disappointing.
He's one of the Genma. He's a Genma scientist.
Who do you think you are talking to? I haven't seen one as foolish as you since that, Nobunaga.
Roman Krantz and Gildenstein, didn't they die? Is this the remaster? Yes, it is.
I operated on and resurrected that pitiful Nobunaga after he was killed in Okihazuma. He then made a pact with the demons and pledged his eternal loyalty to serve us forever as our slave.
No!
Oh, yes,
Dude, his eyes are dope.
True. Now, let me show you my most recent creation.
Hamlet was a fucker for real. Oh, Hamlet.
Bloody flesh.
Oh, the tonguey, or the tentacle. Kind of reminds me of, call it. Bandersnatches from Resident Evil. What? Oh, thank you, boy. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate you, son. Can any of my mods give him a shout out? Actually, I can do it now. I got it. What up, your boy? How was you? Oh, thanks, Paul.
No, watch this. Get this on film. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh no!
What game was that?
Throw something.
Is that Fear? What is that?
We're going.
No.
The camera, we got the camera.
Oh, it's content.
Oh my god.
Content warning. Yeah.
Behind you.
Shout out for that
Watch
boy.
out.
Yeah, thank you for the raid, bro.
Oh, out of charges.
Hope all is well.
Oh, my shock stick's out. We're on our own. Oh no!
I didn't realize this was on console.
God damn it! What the fuck? I wish I had a shock stick.
Who did?
Watch out. Oh,
The
shit.
Hoodin.
No!
Alright, what does it say? A big stone slab. There appears to be an inscription on it. However, you can't read it. Oh, that's good to know. Fine. I want to read it anyway. I just pulled my only white hair from my eyebrow. Fucking aging. Oh, dude, you have white eyebrow hair? Console gaming is for sex having losers. I do PC only. Well, I believe, brother. I believe. Ooh, a liver. You rang? I'm sorry, I get so much puss. Yeah, you're married. You got it on tap now. Oh, my ass hair is all white now. With the losers having sex right now. Me? I'm sitting alone in this room on my Linux PC eating gummy bears. Watching a dork play Onimusha. That's right, he gets a special once a month sex day. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, these ones. Ooh, a liver! Get out here, coward. No, oh, you fucking bitch. Get the fuck off me. No. Back here. Wait me. Or did they like run away, run away? Oh, they did. Oh, fuck them. Don't need sex, he has the cuck command center. My wife played Hogwarts Legacy on Xbox. I was so disgusted, I cut her off from the D. Are you not a Hogwarts Legacy fan? I thought it was pretty good. What I played, at least. Oh. Oh, I get it. I get it. I fucked up by leveling that one up first. It's all good. Cool. He's mad because Hogwarts Legacy killed heckling valid trans people. After 1 year of marriage, it's every 2 months. After 3, it's when she's not upset. 5, if you remembered the anniversary. 7, you remember to take out the trash. That one day several months back. 10, you start playing with yourself all over again. Nice. I wonder if I'll lock myself out of these by just brute forcing it. Name the relic created by the clans of ogres to destroy. It's the gauntlet, but I don't know the symbol. Oh shit, wrong one. Puzzle, god damn it. Let me use process of elimination. Bet you it's this one. Just kidding, I don't know. Oh, there's more. Oh fuck. Nah. I'll come back with the file. Bitches. Hold on. Fuck you, leave Hogwarts Legacy alone, bitch. Yeah, I liked it. We're not that far from 20 years. How long have you been together? No man never stops playing with himself, so he just hides it for a while. I don't know if I'll ever hide it. I'll just be like, what's up? 18 years? Goddamn, dude. Good shit. Oof. Give me a mom. No more. Please don't go away. Look, it's muted. No, it's not. I heard it. Can we turn it up? Try it again. I couldn't hear it. Well, open your fucking ears now. Let's see, if I was ever married and caught my husband in the middle of jorking it, I'd sit and watch or join. Hell yeah. There's no way you can't hear that now.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds!
Seems fine. Oh, nice. Fucking bitches. Hopefully it'll go away. If not, I don't care anymore. You have to live with it. Look what you did! Paul broke it again. It's just Paul.
I'm retarded.
Wait, where am I supposed to go? I'm going the wrong way. I might be able to... Oh, wait, no. There was another red locked door, right? Oh, it was this way. Amazing. Alright. Do it. No! Fuck. Alright. I'm never gonna get that timing down. Fuck. Got it. Give my shit back. Got him. I was just playing Final Fantasy VII instead of working for the man. Did you just turn it off entirely? No. I had to refresh the cache. That's the only way to get it to fucking clear up. Nice. Candace 4, she can't be a sugar mama. Fuck you, nigga. Nice. Can, this is what got you banned last time. Or was it other slurs? I'll allow it, no hard R. Other slurs, LMAO. That checks out. Okay, I actually have to have the weapon out? I didn't realize that. I think Ken said you just shock her in the head while you're inside her. Yeah. She did say that. Oh, is this the pussy bug demon? I didn't save. It's okay, I'm poor too. I'm trying to not be poor, and for once I feel like my efforts are starting to pay off. I can't be a sugar daddy. It's okay, not too many of us can. It's okay, buddy. Because you are not alone. I just remember you saying you didn't like Michael Jackson earlier. Save anywhere? Gonna sell all those bikes? Are you a millionaire now? No. No and no. Some debts are being paid off and income is increasing. So. Stay down. Yo. What? Oh, nice. Oh, this guy. I want one of them like dangling like right here. A strange man is silently staring at you. Just give him a little Spider-Man kiss. Nah, I'll save that for when I want Joey to go harder while I use the whip. Let him feel what old folks felt. Nice. I'll tell you what, being unemployed doesn't pay great. Yeah, it does not. Are you hunting right now, or are you still just enjoying your... I'm gonna say vacation loosely. Damn it, I was almost there. Oh. Get back here. Get back here. His ancestors but held back a little. Nice. Yeah, I'm looking, but still being kind of choosy. I'll lower my standards in a few weeks. Know your worth, king. There's that over there. There's that over there. Yeah, I'm gonna see what's over here first. Let me change the weapon back. What's the cap? I have like 60 hours of vacation saved up. Should I take a week off? 80? Does your company do that thing where it's like if you don't use your PTO, you can like cash it out at the end of the year? Because my company has a use it or lose it policy that pisses me off. I'd say start your own company. Oh, Paul? Yeah, if you can, Paul. And then hire me and pay me double what I make now. Gonna offer tons of exposure already. Nice. That was pretty good. Like, bitch, leave my PTO alone. Bro, I fucking hate when they do that. Yeah, you can cash it out or carry over just 40 hours. I would cash it out and get a nice check. But one thing I do now is I really enjoy taking a week off when I can. So usually during my birthday month, and then maybe one of the holiday months, like I'll take like Christmas week off or something, or Halloween week off. I've done that before. Blue book. What an incredible creature this Nobunaga is. Normal animals would have already been dead from such a large transfusion of demon blood. I do not understand how the holy blood of the demons could be compatible with the body of a pathetic animal. How disturbing. Moreover, this Nobunaga seems to be highly intelligent and ambitious. He wasn't the slightest bit astonished when we resurrected his body. He fearlessly pledged his loyalty to Master Fortinbras? I don't know. And he just made a vow to sacrifice his own species. He is an animal that should not be underestimated. If Nobunaga continues to offer sacrifices, we will not soon run out of test subjects for our experiments. Alright, bet. It's hot as fuck. I might take a week just to never leave AC. Yeah, I feel you. I've been salaried for way too long. I haven't been paid out for PTO since like 2008. Damn. Lightning jolts from the crystal. Oh, I need... Fire burns within the crystal. And then I need the wind staff or whatever. This one's good, but I think, just based on what I remember of this series, I think 3 might be my favorite one. The Jean Reno one, with time travel and shit. But gameplay-wise, like as far as the combat goes, 4 really got the combat down. And it was nice to not have static camera angles.
Stop!
Oh, it's that kid. It's that dog.
What is going on here?
Fuck.
Stop!
Who are you? And what do you want with that boy?
I should ask you the same thing. You are not working for Saito clan, are you? Wait. Can you be Samanosuke Akechi?
That's me. Yeah, I can see you liking that one. Big Jean Reno fan. I remember you said you loved the Leon the Professional because you're a pedophile. So that's subtext. Because when I saw the movie, I didn't really pick it up as being like romantic, right? But I saw it again not too long ago, and I was like, it's still kind of a cool movie. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good, but the whole the Lolita element of it, we can go without that. Like, he didn't have to say "I love you" too.
I see. However, I will not give up yet. We shall meet again.
It is a good movie though. Fuck, what's 4 called again? It's got a subtitle. It's like Onimusha, Dawn of Samurai or something. Dawn of something. Dawn of Souls? No, that's Onimusha 4. Dawn of Dreams. That's what it's called. Yeah, I think that one had like the best like combat. But story, and then 3 has like these really cool like time travel puzzles. And then 2's good too. 2's kind of a standalone in a way, even though I think Nobunaga Oda is still in there. But I don't know, it just felt more like a slice of life because of all the gifts I can give my friends and shit. My 3 favorite movies: Leon the Professional, Lolita, and Taxi Driver. You know, I've never actually seen Taxi Driver. Does that have pedophilia in it too? Didn't they make a Dynasty Warriors Onimusha? No, I don't think they did. Did they? I don't think they did. The only Onimusha games I know of are Onimusha Warlords, which is one. Onimusha something of the Blade, which was like a it was like a Smash Brothers fighting game. And then there's Onimusha 2, Samurai. No, 3 is Samurai Destiny. There's Dawn of Dreams, which is 4, and then there's Tactics. And then there was a mobile game, but that's discontinued. Also, I hate the movie Lolita. Kubrick is better than that. I've never seen it. I just know about it. I'm starving. I wonder how many days have passed since I entered this cave. My only source of sustenance has been this water leaking out of the walls. Ew. I followed the smell of blood to this place. Normally, I would not have been able to spell it, but hunger seems to have sharpened my senses. That is why I'm now watching something I could not have imagined, even in my worst nightmares. A ghastly sight. Demons eating human prisoners alive. They pay no attention to their victim screams. They just crunch their bones and chew up their flesh. I'm standing still, just watching the scene so as not to be spotted by the demons. No, that's not exactly what I have in mind. I'm gazing upon a person's finger lying on the ground. When a person dies, their body becomes only meat. Nice. I begin to fear my desires. I am like a wild scavenger, waiting expectantly for the scraps of food that the tiger leaves behind. What evil thoughts am I having? Samuel?
Stupid bitch, you filthy slut! Did you fuck with me?
I think it's the only Kubrick movie I've never actually seen. Also, I hate the movie. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've never seen it. Oh, there's nothing up here? Okay. This music sounds like Resident Evil 1. Yo! Bitch. It's going down over there. Oh shit, wrong sword. Bitch. I think it's the only miss from Kubrick. I personally don't enjoy Barry Lyndon, but I respect it as a good movie. I bet it's good, to be honest. I can't imagine Kubrick and Peter Sellers not making a banger. Watch it and let me know. Is this like Onimusha? No. I don't know what that means. It's like Onimusha. Oh. What is this? As a strange indent. You need something to open this. You don't say. Oh shit. That scared me. That little Chucky was chasing me. Hey, Kaede.
Do not be afraid.
Shit, shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. How you doing?
That is not true. Please, tell me your name.
I am Yumaru.
When I inevitably cut my hair, I'm gonna do that style for like a day.
I want with you.
Shall we hang on the kid?
And why are you here? Who brought you
That's
here?
funny. Not talking about the baddie with the thigh tattoo over there. He needs to fight his barber. Poor kid balding at 7. Oshimaru? I don't know what that is. What's Oshimaru? Oh, wrong button. Honestly, I hate the quick turn and the map buttons, but whatever. Oh. What the fuck? That's what you get. They give my health back. Motherfucker. Oh man, some camera angles. I got Resident Evil. Got a herb. I got herbies. Any more? I'll be fucking surprised. Joe, if you had to get a tramp stamp tattoo full size, what design would you go with? Probably was it what's his name? Big Ben? No, that's what's the name of the dude, the mascot holding the pie? He's like I want that. Oshimaru is a samurai comic from that one episode of 2.5 Men where Charlie was making a jingle for a cartoon adaptation of that comic for that episode. I've seen some of that show, but no, I don't know what the hell that is. In a nutshell, it's Resident Evil with samurais and daemons. Yo! What if I wasn't supposed to do that? I just locked myself out of something because I'm too trigger happy. So basically more Ada? Not really. Oh! Welcome to hell, motherfucker! I'm gonna go back downstairs. And then map. Okay. Because whatever it is, it's on the first floor. And I think it's in here. Something dropped. Oh, DJ. No, I fucked that up. Hang on. Are all the enemies Voldo? They're called the Genma. I'm getting there. Yo! Nice. What fell? Suzaku. The daemons. The gauntlet and supplying. Okay, hell yeah. This is what I needed. Can't go down there. Fucking love Soul Calibur. How dare you bring that up? Who's your Soul Calibur fighter? I've always been a Maxi guy. And Taki. And Killick. Where was the doohickey though? It's in one of these rooms. God damn it. Alright. Heading there now. Yeah. I actually have to leave. You need to leave! One. Almost. But actually, yeah. And I'm gonna check out the other one real quick. Mitsurugi, I like Geralt as a guest character in Ivy. Oh yeah, Geralt was pretty good. I liked The Apprentice. Yo! I can't stop. The Apprentice? Donald? No, the apprentice to Donald. Darth Vader. Oh wait, wrong button. Oh shit. Okay. Oh shit. I'm blocking, bitch. I'm blocking here. Ugh. We're gonna build the Death Star and Endor's gonna pay for it. And he's like Sidious. He's like, an attempt has been made on my life. For like the 5th time. Jesus. But, hold on. Yeah, I'd be down. Let me reply to this real quick. Oh wait, wait. Clan was subverted. It wasn't the demons. Where's the other box? Is it on the map? Fucking have the map button be like the normal button, idiot. I think it was down in like the cavey area. I'm gonna go back down there. Wait, did I save? I just be mashing X without even reading. Alright, cool. I think I did. Tell him no, I'm streaming Kagemusha. Booty will have to wait. No, it's not Booty. You guys assume the best of me. No, some friends want to see Furious, so we're trying to find a good time. Is that the first Fist of the North Star in the background? No, this is Ninja Scroll, and over there in the background. Oh, damn it! They Netflix and chilled me. I always read with the attitude. Are you still watching Onimusha? Yes, Netflix. I'm pausing it. Also, I'm gonna go pee real quick. BRB.
Let's see. Camera's not big enough, buddy. I'll need an upgrade.
I use a voice changer to hide my identity. He's just like Ghostface. What's your favorite position?
I pay thousands to suck dick. I spent so much on this dude. And I looked, I asked him, you can ask anybody, I asked him. I'm like, Joey, why do you hate Alchemy so much? You know what he said? It's okay. And then somebody starts defending in the eye and it's just like, beat the shit out of him! Get him out of here! Keep us coming. It was like 18 gigs for me, I think, on my PlayStation. Like something crazy like that.
Somehow, I don't know how I even did that.
If any of you take on any damage, get back to me ASAP, and I'll help you out.
Brother!
I'm not carrying any dead bodies back.
I have the recessive genes.
I'm locked, loaded, and ready to make shit dig.
Alright, let's go. In my pants. Chat, look, butthole's out. Where? yo.
Nice. Did Frank get first? Of course he did. He's like the best one, which was cool. So that party was a blast because I did amazing. Like I was undefeated until the end. Because you get 2 brackets, right? Everybody I fought, I set the loser bracket. And then Frank, I fought him like halfway through, set him to the loser's bracket. And even I was surprised because Frank's good. Like fucking Scorpion himself, he just climbed his way out of the nether realm and got his revenge. It was down to me and him, and I didn't win a single round of that fight. He fucking wiped his ass with me. So if I was there, I would have been second. LOL. Oh, talking shit.
All right, I'm back with an empty bladder and a full beer cup.
You got King Madison playing Quiet Pace.
Okay, nice. Were you guys doing shoutouts? Hell yeah.
You got
Ads are on, by the way. Well, not on if you're subbed. That's fair. I stream like once a month these days, but I'm gonna try and be better. I'm gonna try. Ooh. I'm sub. Oh, you meant subscribe. Nice. Down here. I hate those ones. All right, now I really want to find out where that other doodad was. I think it was over here. Oh no. Clearly not. Oh, I can shoot you. Oh. An old-fashioned. Yeah, I think it was this way. Where's my chapstick? Yeah, I want to say it was like down here when I fought that other Damon. Wait, I'm trying to absorb some shit. Nice. Uh-oh. Dude, those arrows are everything right now. Hell yeah. You want more? Yeah, I think it's in here. Oh, also, I did drop that thing in the cave, so maybe it's down here also. Unless there's a basement to that building. I'm not quite sure. Here we go, it's right here. So, name of the relic. Okay, it was the gauntlet. Oh, in files. It's book stabbed snake. Okay. This one. Oh. Created by the clan of ogres to destroy the demons. Is it not? That was the gauntlet. Well, fuck. Also, did I drop the doodad down here? No. It would be in here. God damn it. Why does Capcom reinvent the wheel every fucking time to make a game with tank controls? Oh. Because this used to be a quick turn in what, Resident Evil Remake or Zero? One of those for show. But now it's click in the right stick. So unintuitive. Oh, I guess it's not down here. Can't read it. Oh. I think the last boss is in this area. How's my audio? Doing all right in that regard? All right, let's go. Why do you have so many TVs playing in the background? Just ambience, trying to make a decent setup. This one's always on with something. Like when I was facing it, I would like watch some shit, you know? But now it's like, you guys can watch some shit. And then that one is just to kind of balance out the lights. I don't know. Yeah, that's Onimusha on Netflix back there. And then this was Ninja Scroll, which I'm going to stop, rewind it, and put something else on. That was a burp. Second floor again, which I think was this way. I mean, unless you have suggestions, I was just trying to keep it interesting. Do it. Fuck. Do it again. Damn it. Fuck you! I already gave you a suggestion. What was it? Willy's Wonderland? I don't have it. Nor do I really like that movie, to be honest. I have Con Air. I can put that on. I have that on VHS. I think about the Nick Cage movies. Hardcore gay porn. Don't look or acknowledge it in any ways. I'd just turn around too. I'd be like, turn the volume up, and then just like, just act natural. That would be pretty funny. Did I save? That's clearly like a boss or something in there. I'm gonna see what's over here first. Oh yeah. Oh shit. Guys, I'll save you. Okay, I'm coming. I'm coming. Oh shit. Hold on. Lives are on the line. I'll save you! I come back, they're all dead already. It might be. Shit, is this even the right door? Okay, yeah, it is. Don't be dead. Oh. Alright. Okay. Alright, that was a waste of time. That was the worst bowling string I've ever seen. I know. I'll try it again. Because it might respawn? I don't know. Because it's also like auto aim. I hit the floor. Deadwolf is taking archery classes. He's actually a pretty good shot. What's this room? Watch, they're gonna be back, aren't they? Nope, they're all dead. I'm okay with this. I'll be fine. I did my best. I tried. I didn't. I'm okay with a bow. Do you have The Weatherman starring Nick Cage? I do not have. I haven't seen that one either. I feel like you like Nick Cage, like I like Resident Evil. Do it. Do it. Simon says attack me. Damn it. It's Nick Cage as a weatherman where his family doesn't respect him, so he takes up archery. It's pretty random. We have an indoor range out here for recurve. Oh, that's cool. Is The Weatherman a good movie? I like it. That's fair. Yako! Better plan between the chasm of restored. I bet Joey would like it. Michael Caine is his dad. Oh, really? That's why did we fall, Boosh? So we can get back up. Is this the coochie bug monster? I forget. She's in here somewhere. I hope so. What up, Trevi? Okay, do you have Raising Arizona? No. I don't. I heard that one is a good movie. Oh, shit.
I have been able to uncover Yumemaru's
Hey,
identity.
girl.
He is the son of a farmer.
What?
4 years ago, his parents were killed at war. Princess Yuki found him crying alone and brought him to the castle.
Okay, we have to stop meeting like this.
I also heard that Princess Yuki raised him as if he were her own.
Thanks for the shoutouts.
So he stole his way.
I saw Obsession. Dude, it's so good. No spoilers for people who haven't seen it, but I really enjoyed it.
After Yumemaru.
Something seems to be going on.
Why is your clip muted?
What?
Oh, I remember this puzzle.
We must find a way out.
Yes.
I remember this too, dude. Fuck. It's like trial and error. Oh shit. Big frog. It was so good. I want to see Disclosure Day next. I heard that was pretty shitty, but I'm curious. I want to see it anyway. I'm gonna do this one. What if I do this one? There's like a trap door or some spikes that land on her or something. Yep, there we go. Same thing. Here we go. Holy armor. Holy armor. Let's see, let's equip that. Guessing it's better. Armor created by the Ogre clan to prevent souls from being stolen. Oh, shit. I just found they're making Toy Story 5. You really just found that out, dude? Shit was so sad in the bedroom scene, so uncomfortable. Dude, that's how I said it. The movie is surprisingly hilarious, but there are parts where I was like, this is... I'm upset. I'm uncomfortable. We've all had a crazy bitch, you know? Not that crazy, but it taps into that, you know? I just found out they're making Toy Story 5. I haven't even seen Toy Story 3. I'm more interested in Shrek 5. Toy Story 3 is one of the best. It's really good. It's like Great Escape mixed with a heartwarming tale of, I don't want to ruin it. I will say, there was a point, like, my brain, it's like, I know these toys aren't going to die, but for a second, I was like, are they going to fucking kill them off? Like, I was so in the moment. Counterpoint, Toy Story 3 was a bad movie, and Joey should feel bad. Nah, I never feel bad. Nice try. Jay. This one? And then this one. Fuck. Wait, what? It's not that one, because that one does this. And then this one opens that, but you're gonna get locked. Right? Let me double check. Okay, we're good. No, we're not good. Wait a minute. Joe, I'm kind of retarded. Okay, all right, we're good. All right, I got it. Got it. Love you, Kaede. Is that all that's in here? Let me talk to you. Too dark to see what's on the walls. Oh, I can do it. I think Nikki is Tree Plant though. Not really. I mean, she's had an acting career before this. Given this movie had like no budget. It was like what production was $750,000. She's been in other shit. She's been in like Supergirl, and she's a streamer. Mood lighting, time to make a baby. I really like her name. It's pretty good. You have to hurry. There's no time to lose. Where are we going? Saving the little brat? Oh, fuck. I remember dying here. No, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. If I do this, he's gonna drop, isn't he? Okay. I could do this one. Fuck. Leonardo da Vinci, how's that? Wait, what? Hold on, let me catch up, sorry. People don't get this one, I keep having to explain it. I've been playing Gunnar Blade. I heard it's good, and the new one looks fun. Yeah, it does. Leonardo da Vinci, how's that hard for people? So much fun. How are you? You and the family settled in the new place? Oh, you moved? You moved? I feel like I should know that. Sorry, I'm a bad person.
I wonder what this room is.
Yeah, we bought a house like a month ago before I got laid off. Well, I hope everything's alright, bud. I know it's probably tough right now.
What happened? Are you all right?
I seem to be trapped.
Is there a way you can get out of there?
Oh no.
Samanosuke, wait there. I will help you.
Oh shit. Oh. This puzzle's notorious. I'm not even kidding. I might just look this one up. Let me see. Damn it. And Lemon's here, not here to shame me. Like, this is a well-known fuck you puzzle. Think about a different game. Oh god. No. Fuck. Fuck! What if I do this? What if I do one of these, huh? Huh? Fuck! It's not enough. Fuck. Samanosuke, no! Lemon can't show up right now. I won't hear the end of it. What are you doing? It's okay, the trick is any dungeon can be a sex dungeon. So I have to get this over here. But I need more room. I fucked up. So someone else is gonna drown, and it's okay, because I'm gonna try it again. Alright? Also, fuck you. What are you doing, huh? Alright, let me just wait for him to die. Sorry. Hopefully there's a checkpoint. Or do I have to... Oh, I have to load. I have to go all the way... Alright, thanks for watching Joey attempt this puzzle. Good. Hope it hurts. Hope it's the butt kind. I don't want to do this again. Do all this shit again? Alright, let me skip. Can I skip?
I have been able to uncover Yumemaru's identity.
Nor.
He is the son of a farmer.
What?
4 years ago, his parents were killed at war. Princess Yuki found him crying alone and brought him to the castle.
I see.
And I also heard that Princess Yuki raised him as if he were her own brother.
So he stole his way into the castle
to
save Princess Yuki. Why then is Tokichiro after Yumemaru?
Tokichiro.
Something seems to be going on. What? Oh. Samanosuke, we must find a way out.
Yes.
A little bit. Yeah, I did. Are you okay? Didn't even have enough money left over to build out my sex dungeon at the new place. Oh, damn. You can use mine and then your wife, and then the wife. Yeah, it does suck though. It's this one, right? Nope. Then this opens up right here. No. This one. Shinobi kit. Oh, I didn't even know I had that. You like Toad. I don't want to do this again. That's okay. I get this puzzle now. I think I ran onto this one first, right? Oh shit. That won't get her, will it? Shit. Oh, nice, I could just cheat and go this way. Whee! And let me leave a safe state.
I wonder what this room is.
Huh?
Ah! Samanosuke! What happened? Are you all right?
I seem to be trapped.
Is there a way you can get out of there? Samanosuke, wait there. I will help you.
Okay. Oh, let me look it up first. Alright. I don't care. This puzzle's bullshit. Why did they do that? Wait. Looks like I can't even pause the game though. How did we start there? Okay. Oh. Right. You're right, Samanosuke? What are you up to, Paul? You playing anything tonight? It's powered by the water wheel. How do they make these devices? I like the music. Now, working on an AI thing. Are you working on the game? It's just like a fun. No, I've been building a serious AI project lately. Oh, that's cool.
We are safe now. I will go search for clues.
But I'll get back to the game soon. Nice, nice, nice. I love what I saw of that, by the way. That's where I came from? It is where I came from. I just want to be sure. Oh. Yo. We gotta find time to play Reanimal, bruh. I bought it. Yeah, I'm down. You can go further down on this ladder. That's good to know. Where am I, though? So tonight I'm going to bed. Are you going to bed right now? But I just started playing. Not right now. I'm going to take a shit first. Okay, okay, nice. Because all the gummy bears. That'll do it. Dude, gummy bears are like top tier, man. I won't have any of this slander. I would do some slutty things for some gummy bears right now. Red book. I remembered there were other animals that chose a similar fate to Nobunaga. I remember, when I remember something, I should write it down. My mind is always so preoccupied, but I shouldn't bother with such trivial matters. I must focus my attention on creating things for our demon species. I will write everything here so I can unburden my mind. The animals were named Genghis, something and Alexander. Never mind. The names of animals do not have any meaning for us. That's funny. Just conquerors. These animals fought extensive battles and managed to continue fighting to expand their territories. They are considered extremely heroic, exceptional warriors. But in truth, they offered a large number of sacrifices to obtain our technology and weapons. Smart animals can conquer the world by making a pact with the demons, while the stupid ones simply get sacrificed. It is as they say, in the land of the monkeys, the demon is king. This nigga spitting. Ooh. There are multiple maps of Mino province scattered around here. It looks like this is where they're planning a strategy for their battle against Nobunaga. And then Nobunaga was like, you fucking thought? You thought? Oh. Yee. Saved your life. Saved your life. Saved your life. Give me something. Arrows? Fuck, I should kill you right here. No. Alright. Oh shit, there's more. Let me go back to that ladder. I think it was this way. No. Where was that fucking ladder? It had to have been here. No, hold on. Fuck. I'm doing shit. Leave me alone. Yeah, I was in here. There we go. I combine them here, or do I have to put them both in that one slot? Oh, I can go up. That's what it is. Oh no, the movie's over. Hang on. Let me put something else on. Rejected. T1. Oh, man. Yep. Here we go. Can I save? Where can I save? I don't want to die again. I don't want to do all that shit again. Fuck. God damn it. So the triggers used to be maps in other Resident Evil games, you know? I know it's not Resident Evil, but it feels like it.
Yumimaru!
Hey, Samanosuke! We meet again. So, have you decided to serve the Oda clan?
Move!
It is too late for the boy. And since you have learned that our Lord Nobunaga will rule the world with the demons, you should not bark up the wrong tree.
You're insane! What you are doing will lead to innocent people being used as food for the demons.
The strong will prey upon the weak. Farmers obey samurai, and humans obey demons.
You arrogant fool!
Our dark ceremony will take place soon. Princess Yuki's skull will be filled with her own blood. And when our Lord Nobunaga drinks it, the victory of the Oda clan over the Saito clan will be guaranteed.
Nobunaga Oda.
See you again, Samanosuke.
Type shit. Oh. You, the clan. Oh, okay, so maybe it's more than that. So I need 3 of these. So let me see these files first. It's like the clan. Gauntlet, the demons, the chasm of. I don't know. I don't fucking know. What does that say? There are 2 Diddy boxes? Maybe Princess Yuki uses them? What's a Diddy box? The gauntlet ogres created to... Oh. Another one? I like how I slowly fill this out. It's like, it reminds me, it's not as cool, but oh shit! The Al-Bed diary or dictionary that you like unlock in Final Fantasy X. And you slowly start understanding what these fuckers are saying. I like that. Final Fantasy X. Honestly, I know Jay's not here, but mad respect for binging those games. He's got a very consistent schedule, one that I wish I had time for. Oh shit. Right in the dick. What the fuck? Oh, I'm trying to stab him. You got that weapon yet? Yeah, I need the wind. It's like a wind staff thing. Anyone here? I can. Seidu. The clan of ogres. Oh. Subverted the demons. Granted a man the power. And powerful man a grudge against the demons. Oh, there's more. Oh shit. Okay. The clan of ogres subverted by demons has granted a man their power. This brave and powerful man also bears a grudge against the demons. Bars. Literal bars. Actually, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait on that because I think I'm gonna save. And honestly, I should probably backtrack because now I think I can solve at least one of those. So I'm gonna do that. I did save, right? It just happened so fast. Let me see. Yeah, I saved. Okay, cool. Looks like your gauntlet. Wandering demons may try to steal the souls contained within. Can I absorb them? Oh, shit. No, save it for the next weapon. I'm gonna backtrack all the way through this confusing ass fucking manor. Castle? What is this? I will remember the way. Type shit. Whatever the kids say these days. Where am I? Yeah, I don't remember where they were. Hopefully I can just walk all the way through and not have to worry about falling to my death. Cool. Tight, 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 tight. Not yet. So more stuff. Dude, I feel like I'm gonna get lost trying to get back here. No, I got this. I got this. But I would like to find... Oh, shit. That box. I'm going to leave this place entirely. I fucked him up. Okay, so there's one out here, and there's one underground in that one area. I'll be right there. Like over here. I'm in the mood. I'm still horny. Well, you came to the right place, Travi. What is it? What has it got y'all hot and bothered? Is it the demons or the samurais? Or is it the swords? What clan has been subverted by the demons? It was the Clan of the Ogres. Okay, so hold on. Let me actually take a picture of that. Because I don't know this gibberish. Oh, puzzle. It is that one, and that one. Soot! It's the glasses. Oh! What you been up to, man? What are you playing? You ever been covered with like a glazed donut? No. But comparing it to a glazed donut, now you have my attention. I do like some glazed donuts. Stellar Blade. I want to play that. It looks cool. I was watching Lemon played a lot of that one. It looked interesting. Let's go. I did buy Krispy Kreme the other day. Oh man, dude, I could go for a donut right now. What time is it? It's almost midnight. It's past donut time. Donuts do sound good though. Welcome back, Jay. I forgot how much this is like Resident Evil. Where it's like backtracking and puzzles and stuff. I just solved one. I got a little reward. I got a power tool. What does that do again? Hang on, let me actually check. What do these do? Enhances your vitality. Is it permanent? Yup. Okay, that's good to know. How's work going, sir? Oh, fucker. So fucking hot. Yeah, I bet. Is it like in the building or are you patrolling outside? Not that that really makes it better either way. I mean, it could be hot indoors. Our patrol is outside and the upper floors have no AC. Fuck. What kind of building are you patrolling at? Do you work at just like one building, or are you like are you sent out to multiple, like depending on the day, like different shifts at different places, or not sure how it works. Oh shit. 6th-floor office building. Oof. And the parking garage. Ooh. Has anything ever interesting happened besides you said like hobos are fighting or something one time? Name the relic created by the clan of ogres to destroy the demons. It's the one where they talk about the gauntlet. The gauntlet of ogres? Which one's of again? Okay, so it might be... I I still need more. I can't solve this one yet. God damn it. Yuki! Meh, nothing big. All one of these days to be like, yo, dude, you won't believe what happened at work last night. I walked in, dude, these hobos were doing a fucking human sacrifice. I had to shoot one of them. I saved a princess. I think I'm their king now. Alright, let me wake my way back there. Ah. Like, I want to run, but like I'm getting all this experience that I can totally use, you know? And they're healing me. Yeah, I need a few more volumes of that bullshit, and then I can solve that one puzzle. Oh, he's still alive. When was the last time you played this game? I think I'm going the right way. Yep. Ooh. This era of gaming in general, and Capcom. I mean, I think Capcom has been on a winning streak lately, but still, there's something special about this shit. Also, where was the save? In here. Nope, save it. Unless I need to come back, and then I can turn some herbs into medicine. Yo! You look cool. Oh, that's what I need. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh shit, that was close. Oh shit, I killed him? Ah, what the fuck? What the fuck? I broke his shield, that's what that was. Get too cocky. Get cocky, it's gonna get rocky. Oh, you motherfucker. Daddy! Ha! Bye. You motherfucker! Type shit. Ha 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 ha. Arashi. You. I can't stop making that noise. Nor do I want to. This way. Let me level this shit up now. Oh, my gauntlet's been upgraded. Hell yeah, brother. You. Tight, 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 tight. Right, you're next. Because I remember liking this one quite a bit. Yuki! Yuki's on.
My sister. Please save her.
And when you say your sister, do you mean your sister, or do you mean...
You're safe now.
Please. You have to save her.
I give you my word. I will save Princess Yuki.
Yuki!
Kaede, do you know why Princess Yuki took care of this boy? Princess Yuki was born the daughter of a feudal lord, and thus raised for an arranged marriage. She has had no freedom whatsoever. So when she meets someone else who's in need, she wants to help them. In this world, only the strong survive.
Samanosuke.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this marathon. This will be fun.
The world, Yamamaru.
And I think... I mean, this one's iconic, right? But I think 2 was better than 1.
4 years ago, my uncle
And I think 3 is better than 2. And that might be my favorite story, just because I think time travel shit's always cool when done right. But I think 4, Dawn of Dreams.
Experienced things that I never would have imagined.
That one has the best gameplay, in my opinion. At least the best combat.
There are infinite things that we do not understand. There is beauty and freedom all around us.
And I never finished Tactics, so that game got hard, but I don't know, I might use like a strategy guide and stream it.
You must help them to understand the absurdity of fighting over such small portions of land on this tiny island.
Yuki! No, you're not Yuki.
Who are you?
Your dress is clipping in itself.
Princess Hatsu. Princess Yuki is underground. Oh.
Oh.
You all right? Kaede, we have little time. I have to find Princess Yuki. You watch over these two.
I will.
All right. She's unconscious. All right. Love you. Bye. She's underground. How do I get underground? Yeah, I like this one because of the speed. And even attacks forward, which is nice, you know? Now, where the fuck do I go? There is a green door. Oh, but that's on top. That's where I was already at. She's underground. Was there a wind? A green? Oh, no. I know where to go. I know where to go. Fuck, where was that though? Where was that room? I'll find it. I will find it. Because it was that room with Gildenstein. Oh, okay. Yeah. I know where I'm going, I think. Wherever those ladders were, that's where I'm headed. Might be here. Fucking better be. Bitch. That was intentional. That was 100% on purpose. I'm so good. Is it in here? Yuki. I just want to... I don't know. I don't know why I keep on the vocal stem that and... Yo! Stop hitting that button, Joey. I don't think it's in here. It is. It is. It is. I think. All right. I can go up this ladder. And go down this one. Right. No. Fuck. Where the fuck is that room? Climb up. Climb up. It's that one where I fought the... Ooh, liver! That guy. You know what I'm talking about? No. It's wherever I gotta put this thing. Because I remember I moved the blue one, I moved the red one, and now there's the fucking... Is that it? Like here? Like over here? I don't know if you guys can see that. Oh, you can't see my mouse. It might be that hallway that's like strictly north where I'm at. Alright, let's see. I have no idea where that room is. Give me that shit. It might not be, dude. You see all the Xbox news lately? Layoffs and shutting down shit. Oh, really? Damn it, dude. I was just at a point where I was like, maybe Microsoft has their shit together. How many layoffs? I have not seen this, no. I have no idea where I'm going. Like, I know where I need to go. Like, I know the room. I just don't know how to get there. But that fucking sucks, man. That's one thing I actively hate about the games industry. It's just like, that's just common practice. It's like, how's a fucking studio gonna be like, oh yeah, dude, we got record profits, and then just fire half the fucking people that got you there? I hate you. don't know. Several execs stepped down. Ninja Theory shut down. Even though they literally just announced a game. Oh my god, dude. God damn it. No, this is all news to me, man. I didn't know all that. That sucks. Yeah, my damn dude, my voice cracked. I thought how upset I was for a second. Okay. Yeah, dude, I have no idea where this room is. It's not in here, is it? Might be going around in circles, dude. Yeah, that fucking sucks. Leave me alone, I'm doing shit. Propulsion Games shut down. Not sure who they are. It might be the South of Midnight people. I heard they are gone. It just sucks that, like... Because there is a point where I do believe companies are too big to grow. You know what I mean? And the common practice is like, oh, they underperformed. We didn't get 200 million sells, so they have to shut them down, even though it was a great game people liked. And it sold well enough. You know? It's shitty. I'm upset. Fuck, I was just here. I don't know how to get to that room. I want to level up this weapon, but I need to find out. It's not outside. Rumors about both Arcane and Obsidian being shut down, but no announcement. Oh, dude, don't touch Obsidian. And I haven't played much of Arcane games. They did Dishonored, right? I never played those. I always wanted to, though. I just to get around to it. I think it's not that room. All right, we're gonna get thorough up in this bitch. Fuck off, LMAO. Hey, what up, Nightwolf? Barrett, you son of a bitch. Yeah, the newer Prey. Oh, Prey. I didn't know we were gonna play this. Yeah, I've been talking about it for a while, but you probably weren't there. Where do I get to that one room? I got you, buddy. Give me your shit. What do you got? Give me something. I'll take it. You ninja'd my brain. What are you up to, Barrett? You jive, turkey. I think it might be this way. But yeah, Barrett, my intention is to play all these, hopefully before the new one comes out. And I played all of these once, so this is actually really nice and lovely to relive. I think I used to talk about this and said, fuck it, it's about time I actually played the series. I beat the first game 2 days ago, and I'm playing the second right now. Oh, really? What are the fucking odds? I played all of these, like, in high school. It was my jam, dude. And I haven't touched the series since, really. Like, I replayed 1 when the remaster came out on PS4, but that was literally the last time I did any Onimusha-ing. I have no access to the third, and I only ever played the fourth because I rented it. 4 is awesome, and 3 might be my favorite one. This way. Oh, I was gonna stab you when you're on the ground. You got too quick. Do you have a PC, Barrett? You could probably just, I mean, if you don't have one or one capable of it, but I was gonna say you could totally emulate these motherfuckers. Yes, this is what I was looking for. Because I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 all physically. I got this one. It's the remastered, but I also modded it with HD textures because Capcom did an awful job at doing that. And I might do 2, 3, and 4 off my actual PS2. I might. We'll see. But I'm pretty stoked for the new game coming out. So, yeah. Spoil this for me. Does someone else ever come back? Because the Ogre Gauntlet fucks and it sucks, and that's not the second. Me too. Yeah. Samanosuke is the main character with Jean Renault in 3. And you said spoil it. There is a character in 4 who is later on implied to be Samanosuke. So yeah, he comes back. Because the Ogre Gauntlet fucks and it sucks that it's not the second. Cool. What do you mean by that's not the second? Like, it's not him in the second movie? Because Jubei is pretty dope in 2 also. I like Jubei. But yeah, Samanosuke is like the co-lead in 3, and then he's in 4. Not in the second game. Yeah. I think I was able to infer what you meant. I'm just a dick and a grammar Nazi. Damn. Actually takes up a decent chunk here. But the Gauntlet, man. Yeah, Jubei is awesome, but the Gauntlet. What about the Gauntlet? What about it? Exactly. I don't know where we're getting at. Jubei has the Gauntlet, doesn't he? In 2? It's dope. I want it back. Oh. No. Jubei doesn't have... Oh, it's got the hand. It's his palm. That's right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, the Gauntlet isn't all of them except 2, I think. Yeah, he's half Oni or whatever. Yeah, some shit like that. I had a really good time with this series. I'm happy I'm playing it. And I'm happy they're bringing it back, dude. More important right here. Oh, what up, dude? Yo! That was overkill. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So I'm going to play 2 after this. I'm gonna play 3 after that, and then I might do tactics before 4. I'm probably gonna do tactics. It's a want, not a must-have, you know. It is impossible to obtain the blood of sacrifice. Is it impossible to obtain the blood of a sacrifice? The dark ceremony is the holiest and darkest ritual that can be carried out between the demons and those pathetic animals. In the dark ceremony, the blood is taken from the chosen sacrifice. Then the demon king bestows his evil blessing upon it. Once the animal makes its pact, it drinks the blood from the grail made of human skull. It receives the evil powers it seeks. But nobody has solved the mystery of how the power is transferred to the animal through the ceremony. I want to know the answer. Why does no one understand my frustration? Once the mystery of the ceremony has been solved, the knowledge will greatly advance our demon species. I believe I am the only one who can solve this mystery, and yet I am forced to waste my time on things that won't bring me any closer to the truth. I just need 1 drop of blood. I wish Nobunaga would leave some blood after he drinks it in the ceremony. You should do D's nuts. Nice. Disappointed I didn't play this back in the day. Yeah, I get it. I played all of these in high school, so I think I started with. Funny enough, I think I played one like second. I think I played backwards, dude. I think I played. No, it was 1, 3, 2, and then 4, and then I played tactics on my GBA like down the line. I never finished it because that game gets fucking hard, but I'm probably gonna stream that too. But I want to at least get the main 4 out of the way before Way of the Sword comes out. To carry out the pact with Nobunaga, we have released large amounts of evil energy from the Inabayama castle for several days now, but it seems that's not enough. We need to strengthen the seal around the castle and fill the area with more evil energy. We must also sacrifice a girl born of that land, one with a noble heart. A girl has already been chosen, Princess Yuki! She is a fair-complexioned human with long hair, big tits, fat ass, and nobody knows it, but she also has a tramp stamp. She has beautiful internal organs, especially her heart. And don't even get me started on her ovaries. I can't help think about her organs. They are the best of the best. Jesus. However, if I dissect her, she will be worthless as a sacrifice for the dark ceremony. And if that happens, I'll be eaten alive by the king. I have to give her up. Once the dark ceremony is over, every life in the area will be lost, including all human lives. In short, we will not have to worry about finding the test subjects from experiments for a while. That doesn't seem like a horrible order, lol. He's just like me, for real. Nice. Oh yeah, Jay, I don't think you were here. Which Onimusha games have you played? Byako! Oh, finally. Clan. Oh, damn it. Do I have to fucking backtrack again? Let me check my files. No? No, I still need more. I can't really solve that puzzle yet. Yuki! I played the first 2 when they were new. Nice. Yeah, I played them all around the time like 3 had dropped. And then 4 when it was new. Hell yeah. Type shit. Ha ha ha. Oh, nice. What is that? Looks like Billy the Puppet. Oh. Fuck. Got some jewelry. Rosemary of communication. Rosary. Here's a rosemary. Stupid ass. It's rosary. Holy armor. This allows you to hear the voices of the dead. Oh, it will automatically work when it's needed. That's good to know. All right, cool. That feels important and missable. Ooh. Let me go. So, Barrett, you there? You said you beat both 1 and 2 for the first time recently? Like you just missed out on the series? Dude, I'm ashamed, but at the same time, I'm too old to give a fuck. I'm using a guide for 2. The amount of shit you can miss out on just by walking in the wrong screen is... No, I'm playing 2 right now. Oh, no, dude, I totally get it. I ain't even tripping on that. Like, honestly, some games are guide games, you know? And I think 2 is definitely encroaching in that territory. Yeah, no shame. The gift system. Ugh, yeah. Even though I liked putting some thought into it. I know you like guns. So here, I got you this. I want to die. No, you're fine. Purifier bell? Oh, shit. Let me go backwards because I can... Whoop. Whoop. Oh shit. All right, maybe not. Yuki. Like, I did it all, so I don't have to worry about it anymore, but that shit took hours. No, I believe it. I think when I was playing it, I think I definitely checked the game facts, you know? But those are games where it's like, if you don't have a guide or you don't like know what the fuck you're doing, you will miss shit. Off. Dude, you have to save scum because the rewards are RNG. Oh, I don't remember doing that. But yeah, that sounds about right. Let me save it. Whoa. Ghosts are blocking the door, will not be allowed to open. Looks like they're screaming, but why do these tormented souls want you to interfere with their mission? Can I use the fucking bell and like jiggle, jiggle, jiggle them away? Yeah, I can. I love and hate this game. I kind of love it. And I know you definitely have like that completionist motivation. To me, it's a case-by-case thing. We'll see how much of this I can do. I do like the arenas that Onimusha tend to have. Oh shit. Don't kill me. The first one I absolutely love. I meant to the second one that I have some beef with, but I love it. I just like the opening when she's like, Chubby. Chubby. I don't know why that part always stuck with me ever since like 2004 when I played it. Damn it. Oh shit, I don't have any more magic. Do I have any medicine? I do. What does Power Jewel do? Oh, enhances my vitality. I might use when needed. Alright, it's fine. You have to wait for him to just not even move a muscle, and then I can do the finishing move. I was LMFAO, bro. Then to find out that his mom calling him like that. Oh, nice. I literally, I thought to myself, literally, when I watched that scene, that I had played this when it came out, that would still be seared in my brain. Yeah, it came out like forever ago, and I still can't stop doing that every time I think of 2. It's so funny. Yeah, it's pretty goofy. I fucks with it. Well, I feel like it wants me to go in here. So what's over here? Oh, nice. Fucking break it. You look like you're about halfway through the game, yeah? Am I? I know this one's short. This is like a 5-hour game, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't played this one since it came out, like the remaster. It's like 2018, 2019. Does that sound right? The White Book. I've categorized the demons as follows. Low-class demon. Their intelligence is very basic and underdeveloped. They do not use language. They wander about for victims under the cover of night and sometimes eat helpless animals. They abide by the rules of the demon world and obey orders from higher demons whom they serve. Though loyal, their behavior reflects that of insects. Middle-class demon. Larger than the low-class demons, they have enough intelligence to form broken sentences. Based on my research, their behavior is ferocious and unpredictable, much like the instincts of animals. High-class demon, like Fortinbrus and I. This type of demon is extremely intelligent and responsible for developing our advanced civilization. They also have the biggest dicks and all the money and bitches. Based on my calculations, the birth rate of high-class demons is only 1 in 10,000, 100,000. That means we are the true chosen ones. We are supposed to conduct research on high-class demons through surgical dissection, but it is nearly impossible to obtain the sample as they are very rare. Someday I'll recover their mysteries. It took me about 7 hours, but that was my first time playing it. So yeah, this is my third playthrough of this. So I have some familiarity, but I'm not by any means like an expert. I'm not a speedrunner. I will get lost. I remember the coochie demon. Where's the coochie demon at? The big bug bugine. The bug bugina. The vagina bug. You got him. Oh shit. Fuck off. Oh shit. He's alive. Damn it. I'm trying to do the finish off move, but like they keep getting up too quick. Or Samanosuke is just not doing it. But yeah, Samanosuke over Jubei. 100%. But Jacques pretty cool, dude. 3 is like Samurai Die Hard or Lethal Weapon with time travel. You're getting there. Hell yeah. Oh fuck, I gotta evolve it. Hold on, where's the... Damn it. Fuck. Shit. Like over here, I think. Get out of the fucking way, I'm doing shit. I'm gonna block that. What's in here? Oh, it's locked by blue ink. Okay, it's this way. Damn, this place is a little confusing. That was an accident, but I'll allow it. I'll allow it. This is new. What the fuck? Fucker. I remember the commercials for it when it came out. It was a big game for the time, and Jean Reno being in it. Yeah, dude. And he's great. I think he voices only the French version. And the oh fuck, wrong button. And the dub, like the English one, is like such a, it's just a dub voice, you know. Hey, I'm Jacques. You're not Jean Reno. But yeah, I'll be this is gonna be my main thing right now. So I know on Thursdays I told my homeboy Chaz that we're gonna be playing Shadow Monks on stream. So I'll be doing that, but in the meantime, this will be like my main thing. And honestly, I think we have like 2 or 3 streams of Shadow Monks left. That sucks, but I think I heard about that LMFAO. I mean, it is what it is. The guide is fine. Looks like Double Fine Micah shut down too. God damn it! I didn't even know that they were acquired by Microsoft. Oh shit, this one. I like Double Fine. Yo. That sucks, man. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know about all these. I had some beef with Ninja Theory, but I respected the... Oh, because you... I know why you had beef with them. But I did respect them, so this sucks with everything going on. Yeah, dude, I literally had no clue until Jay started telling me. That fucking sucks, bro. Fuck you. It's a good game. Fuck you. Oh, shit. I like how we didn't have to drop any names. We just know what we're talking about, you know? This way. What time is it? Fuck, man, I should stop soonish, but I'm enjoying myself. The game is good. I like it. Come down. Come down. Oh. Of the demons, restored, clan, chasm, blah 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 blah. Ooh. That's insane little man. That insane little man. He reminds me of a monkey. He told me his secret before I died, but what is he talking about? He said it would suck our souls away. Our souls. Was there a door? Maybe a gate? Apocalypse #1. No need to get me riled up. I'm not trying. It is literally zero effort to get you riled up. Ninja Theory released a mega flop live service and a 5-hour Unreal Engine 5 demo in 8 years. It's amazing. Microsoft didn't can them years ago. I actually don't even know what you're talking about. What was the live service? Did they make what was that one fucking MMO? It wasn't MMO. It was like a weird like 3D like Battleborn. It's a good game. I'm not LOL, I was only joking. Oh, am I getting riled up? No, I get it. I'm just saying. It's not easy. It's not hard. Watch, I'll do it right now. No. When my stream stop over here? Am I live? I'm live. What's my... Oh, my tablet's dying. That's what that is. Yeah, that still sucks though. The Dark Ceremony is a traditional holy ritual in the demon world. Though it's through this ceremony, demons make a pact with a human. Obtaining sacrifices through these pacts is indispensable to the demon world. To carry out the Dark Ceremony, a woman who is born of that land and is noble of heart must be offered as a sacrifice. Our king then sanctifies her blood with an evil blessing, using her skull as a grail. Damn. The human drinks the blood and the contract is complete. It's pretty metal, bro. Ooh. Oh shit, I kind of suck at these. I'll do it again. I fucked up. I got the blue key. Now listen up. Here's a story about a little blue motherfucker and all his shit is blue. Okay. That wasn't bad at all. Now, should I go back and save? Probably, because I think I'm gonna approach a boss fight or some shit soon. And it is getting a little late. have to be at the office in 7 hours. Fuck. Yuki. Yuki. Yuki-sama. Wait, am I going backwards? No. Okay, sorry, this is a little hard to follow as well. Haha, I knew it. Wait, is there enemies in here? Oh, there are. Stop multiplying. All right, so I think I'm gonna call it here. It is Monday. It's Tuesday now. I have to go to the office. I have shit to do. And as much as I would love to keep playing this, I just can't. So, let's do this. Here's what we're gonna do. All right, brother. Are you gonna be up? Do you guys, anybody want me to fucking raid or something? I'm looking for a raid right now. You like my Evil Dead 2 on VHS behind me? Who's live first of all? Have a good one. Fuck yeah, yeah. We could raid. What's Rin playing? Rin's good, people. Rin is playing. Oh, he's playing Mario Sunshine. That could be fun. I didn't mean to hit the mic. Sorry if you heard that. Yeah, let's raid Rin. Rin's good. Rin's awesome. I'm calling it a night too. All right, well, peace out. Thanks for hanging out. I will probably not stream tomorrow. I am probably gonna stream Wednesday. I see no reason why I won't stream Wednesday. Currently, I might be late because I have a meeting at 8, and then I'm off at 9ish. So, cool. Yeah, I should be. I might be able to wrap this up Wednesday, if not Thursday for sure. This game ain't long. But yeah, I was telling myself if I could do an Onimusha a month, which is a very reasonable fucking goal. I might be able to do an Onimusha a week, to be honest. Yeah. And I want to jinx it, so I'm not even gonna say it, but I have reasons to believe that I will be able to do this. Oh, I have to raid up here though. Raid. Yeah, I don't know if you follow him. Just give Rin a follow. He's awesome. He plays a lot of retro games. He's hilarious. He has like a cool little sock puppet PNG tuber thing. A lot of RPGs, Shin Megami Tensei. I don't know, he's a good dude. So I'm gonna raid Rin XP. I put Finn. Stupid. Underscore. And then yeah, this is where I'm gonna call it. And then I might finish this. Wait. Oh, I triggered it already. All right. Oh, only 2 people. People left me. Everybody leave. All right, peace out, guys.